Hi, everyone. My name is Julie O'Grady, and I'm the marketing director at LucidLink. We have a really exciting webinar today. It's Rock Your Workflow with remote editing in the cloud with our fabulous partner, Chesapeake Systems, and the great technology by iconik, and featuring Adobe Premiere. So I'm going to turn this over to Lance in just 1 second. Just a couple bits of information about the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the Q&A poll or put them in the chat. We are reserving time at the end for questions as well, because this is an awesome webinar with a great demo. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Lance, who's the VP of Sales at Chesapeake Systems.
Hey, thank you very much, Julie. Appreciate that. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you as well for joining our remote editing workflow webinar. It's a unique webinar because we're actually going to be doing a live demo. So we'll minimize any kind of death by PowerPoint, but we do have a couple slides to share with you. As Julie mentioned, my name is Lance Hubel. I'm VP of Sales at CHESA, or Chesapeake Systems. Tom Keene is joining me with CHESA as well. He's one of our senior solutions architects at LA. And we're very pleased to be joined with two of our industry partners that we work with on a day-to-day basis, iconik and LucidLink. So Scott, why don't you kick it off for me and introduce yourself and Richie.
Thank you very much. Scott Miller, Business Development Director here at LucidLink. Been with the company for about 3 years now, and I'm really excited. Richie Murray is our M&E and cloud specialist, and he comes to us from many years in the M&E space, and we are excited to have him on board as well. Looking forward to it.
All right, Mike, how about yourself on iconik?
Hey, I'm Mike Zemlinski. I am the Chief Commercial Officer for iconik. I've been with iconik since the inception of iconik. A lot of you folks out there probably know me from various different places over the years in the industry. And I'm happy to be here to kind of show some of this stuff off and work with some cool technologies and good partners.
Fantastic. Well, let's get it kicked off. We want to start with just doing some general overviews of both CHESA, iconik, and LucidLink. And I'll make this short on the Chesapeake side, if I can get my real quick on CHESA. We were founded in 1990. We just had our 30th anniversary last year. Our headquarters is just in north central Baltimore, Maryland. We also have our CHESA Cloud services that are hosted in a data center near me here in Denver, Colorado, and Englewood. We are 46 team members and growing as a company. You can see there from the map, we're coast to coast. And on the lower right, that infographic kind of shows our focus within the digital media workflow space, from media asset management to ingest and storage, editorial, archive, repurpose, et cetera. So we manage the full life cycle of digital media. With that, I'll hand it over to Scott. By the way, I incorporated your slides, so I'm going to drive for you, so you don't have to share your screen. So I'll let Scott cover LucidLink.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. So LucidLink is a company that's a little over 5 years old now, and we set out to create a better way of accessing ubiquitous and cost-effective cloud storage and object storage specifically. And so we didn't want to just continue to make better solutions that are already out there, like some of the sync and share and cloud gateway solutions. We really wanted to fundamentally make it so that applications could interact with object storage as a native file system. And so that's what we built, was a cloud file system that is designed for active workloads, particularly like those that you find for video editing in the M&E space. So next slide. So as I said, designed for the M&E workflow, it's with LucidLink, you have a local mount point across Windows, Mac, and Linux. And that local mount point essentially presents itself as a local drive, a local share. And so an application, when it logs into the LucidLink mount point, thinks it's logging into a local file system. So it makes it so that we're very fast. It makes it so that we run across all OSs, like I said, and it behaves just like a local volume. So editors and folks can continue to operate the way that they have been with local drives. You can edit in real time, and the way that we handle this is through a unique protocol that involves, streaming data as opposed to moving data up and down and moving large files around. We stream data from the cloud so that you can use it in real time. And it's extremely secure because all of the security and the keys to the security and encryption reside on the client's local drive. And so, we provide a SaaS solution that keeps all of the users remotely in sync with each other as if they were working in an office on a NAS, right? But they can all be working from the home and accessing LucidLink centrally, and you're going to see that in the demo that we're going to do today. So this diagram here really shows specifically that, from different locations, some folks can be in the office, some folks can be remote. LucidLink, it basically acts like a storage controller using object storage in the same way that you would use a local disk, right? So when you bring a file into LucidLink, it gets saved up to the object storage. Everybody's local copy of the data about all the files that are up there is synchronized and the same. And so whether you're working from home, whether you're working from a VDI solution in the cloud, whether you're working through a server in the office, everybody can access the same global namespace across their different OSs, and they can act remotely in the same way that they would if they were all in a location accessing a NAS. So that's what we're going to show you today, and look forward to it.
Well, thank you. That encryption part of being at the source and the target of being encrypted as well as in flight is very key, and just the elegance that you put around it. I'm excited to show people here on this demo later today on the call. With that, let me hand it over to Mike. Mike will give a brief overview of iconik, but I also think you have a picture to kind of show exactly this multi-state demo that we're going to be doing today. So your audio is off.
When you're in the share screen, you can't actually unmute yourself until you get out of the share screen. So, hey, sorry guys, it's technology 101. Yeah, thanks for that. So I think it makes sense. We'll talk a little bit about what iconik is. So we're a collaboration hub, as we call it, meaning we have a lot of the features around long-term media management, your traditional metadata tagging, organizational structures, multi-storage management, those sorts of things. But we also bring a lot of the more modern tools like review and approve workflows, collaboration tools like markers and comment chains and things along those lines, and link sharing and some of the stuff you're used to from collaboration tools. So we kind of mix the best of both worlds. And what we're going to show today, I wanted to bring up kind of a picture of what's actually going on and what you're going to actually see. So you'll notice that there's a handful of different folks on our panel right now. I'm based in Detroit, Lance is in Denver, Tom's in LA, Richie's in Nashville, Scott's in San Fran. And we have these little lines over here. A few of us actually have LucidLink volumes mounted right now on our laptops that we're presenting from. And then a few people don't have those LucidLink volumes mounted, but we're still going to be able to gateway that stuff through iconik. And 100% of the infrastructure running right now is actually happening in the cloud. So there are no magic servers sitting around. I don't have a NAS sitting here on my office in Detroit that we're going to be using. All of this is happening through LucidLink volumes and cloud-based iconik tools. So let's stop that share. I don't know, Lance, do you want to speak a little bit further to, where we're going to go from there?
No, that's fantastic, Mike. Let's get right into the live demo. The two things that really come to my mind when I think of iconik and LucidLink together, it's cloud enablement and just simplicity. I'm excited just to show you, do it through a live demo. No better way to believe than to see it. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right in. I think Richie, we're gonna kick off with you, right? And you're gonna show us a little bit how you mount LucidLink and then throw some assets into the system.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So I've already pre-installed the LucidLink client. Excuse me. I'm going to find the app, and I've pre-configured to connect to the appropriate file space with a username and password. So this directory structure is basically /volumes/ directory name. And then I was given a directive to put some content into a particular folder that I had shot, and that'll be used for the creative process downstream. So here's some files on my local desktop. I'm just going to take those and copy them into my LucidLink folder. And basically what's happening behind the scenes is the files are being broken down into blocks, and those blocks are being sent through my cache and stored into an object store. And you can see that the files are still in the process of being uploaded because I'm using Comcast style internet here with about 20 megabit up, but the file blocks are automatically made available to anyone else that has access to this same file space with the appropriate permissions.
All right, Mike, let's see if you can bring up your screen and see if you can see Richie's assets already.
All right, so here's the exact same volume. And actually I'm going to use Finder to look at this because it's a little easier to see it. Most people aren't used to Pathfinder. So here's Richie's folder. I can see those assets already. I can open them up and I can start viewing the high res that was shot more or less immediately because the blocks are syncing. And even if those blocks were in flight, I could still see what was available to me on this file, even as they're growing. So some pretty rich capabilities involved there. What I'm going to actually ask Tom to do right now is I had him shoot some footage as well for our edit, and I'm going to have him throw some files behind the scenes into his folder. And I'm just going to keep my screen up here, and you guys are going to see that the Tom folder is going to start getting content added to it as he does this.
Okay, I'm going to drop in 3, 2, 1 now. They're uploading. I have a pretty fast connection here. It's 1 gig up, so those should come up pretty quickly.
Yep, and I can take a look and actually watch that clip already. So that's how fast it was for him to get, a couple hundred megabytes of data to me across the entire country. So now we've got all of this content sort of in iconik, or in the LucidLink volume, I should say. What's been happening behind the scenes this whole time is I have this iconik storage gateway running in the cloud. So it is also mounting our LucidLink volume. And that LucidLink, by mounting that volume and watching it, we're actually generating new content for this. We're adding new assets to the system. We're generating all the stuff that iconik needs to go see it. So if I hop over to my iconik window now and take a look, and there's something else that's going to happen here. I'm going to be able to search for burger, and I'm going to be able to see all of our burger stuff, even though it's image 4521, so on and so forth. And that's primarily because you can see I've added burger video and Mike and Richie and Tom. And I've done this because it automatically adds a degree of metadata to the system. So even though my files are image whatever and Richie's files were image whatever, I was still able to pull that stuff up pretty quickly. And what I did is I actually built this hot shots of burger talent saved search, which is a complex search for all of the stuff that's being brought into the system from our LucidLink volume that has burgers in it and then has one of our names tagged. And we can quickly go in and see all of this content right within iconik. And you can see some clips are coming in right now. I think while that's happening and while Tom's content, which is almost actually already done processing, we can show off some of the other things that can be done in iconik. I can go into any of this content. I can tag it with further metadata should we want to. So it's got some keywords and some information that came in from the file system, but I can say cool guy in cooler glasses and make this more searchable now for anyone else. I can set a release date. Oh, well, today we're going to release this actual promo. And the reason why
Mike, can I interrupt for a couple of questions live so we're kind of in context here? What resolutions are those files? How quickly HD, UHD content once upload starts? And there's also a question, are we using AI at this point?
So far, we are not using any AI yet. We can. You can see the stuff Tom threw in is full 1080p HD in this particular case. So full raster data. And again, we've have content from kind of all over the place. I'm going to show you guys some even higher res content in a little bit. We're going to throw some ProRes HQ at the system and that sort of thing. From an AI perspective, what we can do is we can run an analysis on anything. So I can go in here and say, you know what, I'm going to analyze this particular clip. And that's going to fire off a back-end job to our AI engine. And that's going to do object recognition against this particular asset. And this doesn't take too long to run. It'll take a few seconds. We can come back to Burger Tom here in a bit and see what the metadata that it brought back. My assumption is it's going to be a person and a burger, maybe some baseball caps, but who knows? We'll see what AI figures out along the lines there. While that's running in the background, we're going to go take a look here and see some of the organizational structures you can have in Iconic. So I have a saved search that I was running earlier that brings back saved search metrics. I can also filter through those results based on various different things. So you can see 5 of the clips in here are ProRes, 7 are HEVC, 4 are H.264. So you can see we have a variety of different clip data to kind of reference the question earlier as to what formats we were working with. And then I can, you know, filter down further. So show me only the ProRes stuff that has Mike or Tom or Richie and also has the word burger associated with it in those cases. We can also organize things. So I've got a little content wrapper over here, or a collection as we call it. And collections are virtual folder structures. So I can search to my heart's content up here. I can put in any search term I want to search for, look through all of the system and find all of the stuff that meets whatever those metrics are. But sometimes you want to browse for stuff as well. So I'm going to go browse through the system, and I'm going to actually use my search to add some stuff to a collection. So I'm going to run my search here. Whoops, did not mean to click on that. I meant to shift select. We'll say all this stuff, and we'll just add that into our webinar content. And what that's doing is not moving any files anywhere. It's not changing any positions of data. It's still living on our LucidLink volume, that sort of thing. But I've just collected that into a central location that I can now share with editors. I can share with other folks. And what I'm actually going to do right now is I am going to share this with everybody on our team. So I'm going to go in and say, I want to create a new share. And in this share, I want my team to be able to make comments because I need some help from my producers, which are going to be Tom, Richie, you know, Lance, and Scott, to make some markers along the lines of these different clips. I'm just going to allow them to make comments on this stuff. I'm going to generate a shareable link. I'm going to copy that, hit finish, and I'm actually going to paste this into my Zoom chat just to my panelists here. So these guys have access to do that. The other thing I'm going to do, and nobody knows I'm going to do this right now because I didn't tell anybody I was going to do this. I'm going to generate a shareable link so you guys can watch that video. I'm not going to let you do anything because I don't want you drawing inappropriate faces on me and things like that. But I'm going to give you 24 hours to poke around that content. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste this into the attendee chat. So now, if any of you guys decide to be ambitious and you want to click on that link, you will now be able to see all of the items in that collection and view them through the Iconic panel or the Iconic web UI, even though that original master data lives all on an Iconic Storage Gateway monitored LucidLink volume. So I've just gatewayed a file system out to, well, almost 200 people that are attending right now. And you guys can all take a look at that content while I'm doing all this other work. That all said, what I'm going to do now is actually toss it back over to Lance so he can show you what it looks like to go make some markers on an item as an external collaborator.
All right, let me click on your link here. Remind me, Mike, I got a couple more questions that came in. Share, oh, I forgot to share my screen. Share.
I can answer those while you're diving into that.
Oh,
so
yeah, you can see them. Cool.
Yep. Yeah. One of the questions are the proxies created locally using the LucidLink mount point, or are they considered in the cloud and you would get an egress charge. So the way LucidLink works is that the blocks themselves are stored in cloud storage. And then anytime anybody accesses those blocks, they are potentially, well, they're always egressed, but depending on where that physical machine is, that defines your egress cost. In our case here for this demonstration, I have put my Iconic storage gateway in a cloud provider that has 0 egress for my LucidLink volume. So they are actually being generated by my Iconic storage gateway in the cloud, and I am paying 0 egress for that transcode and 0 cost for that transcode to happen. Well, that's not entirely true. I'm paying for the VM to be running, but that's it. So hopefully that answers that question.
All right, this is the link that you put into the chat, Mike, and I am not mounted on LucidLink, so this is pure just a web interface. And I like to pick on Richie Murray just because I just do. So I'm gonna pick on that select. This is an asset called Richie Eats a Burger. I'm gonna hit play, do a little mark in. Oh, let me just rewind that again. The mark in and the mark out.
I think you click the link that everybody else has that doesn't have rights to make comments.
Oh, I did. There was 2 links. That's right.
Yep.
Sorry. That's
Yeah,
your fault.
no one else
not
can
mine.
see your link. Don't share that
That's
one.
your fault, not mine.
The first link.
First link.
Otherwise, we get inappropriate drawings on my face.
All
'cause
right, all
I've
right.
done that before.
I might not-
Ugly isn't enough. It is enough, people. We don't need more drawings on my face.
All right, let me reshare the screen because I had to quit out of that browser. There we go. Hopefully this is the one. All right, click on Richie again. Play. Mark in. Oh, did I do it again? Oh, there it is. It marked. Put my email in, lance@chesa.com.
I think you clicked escape.
Typical producer.
Doesn't know what he's doing.
Just kidding. Love producers.
Richie.
Well, while we're waiting for Lance, there's a couple questions here. Can you automatically group assets using metadata? And what is the longest duration of video that is supported in Iconic?
For Iconic, duration is no issue. So there is no length limit. We've got customers that have single form, 3-hour, 4-hour long ProRes shoots actually going into it, for presentations and religious and that sort of thing. 8 hours wouldn't be a problem either. There's no logical limit on that. I don't believe there is. What's the logical limit size, guys, for LucidLink in the petabytes, right? So you're not going to bump your head against the capacity limits. You're definitely not going to an Iconic, and in a single LucidLink volume, you're still in petabyte land.
Excellent. So I put in a marker. I hit send, by the way, Mike.
Cool.
The marker was Richie Big Bite or something like that.
So what I'm going to do now is hop over to Premiere, and you can see I've got my Iconic panel over here in Premiere, and this actual edit that was put together, my marketing team over in Stockholm put together a pretty cool project for me, and they also use this whole process. They're not on the call with me, but what they did is put together the actual edit themselves. But what they did is they left me inside of here some opportunity to do some swap outs, right? So that's what the footage is. You can see there's some stock photography here of people eating burgers, and then there's a little stock photography of some sunglasses and things like that. So I'm going to use Iconic to quickly find this data. And we put it all into a collection, right? So I'm just going to hop over to my collection, click on that Lucid collection. And what I'm going to do is just say, I'm going to open all the assets in this collection. And this is pretty interesting here. You're going to see that in Iconic, I have the ability to open proxies or assets. Because all of this stuff is on a LucidLink volume, and because that LucidLink volume is mounted on my Mac right now, I have direct access to it. And I don't have to, yeah, it's going. It's tried to download a few things, but they're not really there. So it's going and grabbing and linking directly to those particular assets right inside of the LucidLink volume. The other thing you'll notice is that inside of Premiere, I've got my proxy toggle turned on. And what we're doing in Iconic is something a little bit unique here. And this only really works in this way when you have something like LucidLink under the hood. if you guys may have noticed earlier, there's a folder called proxies, and there's a bunch of stuff in that that's getting created by Iconic under the hood. We're actually registering those files as edit proxies in Premiere when that high-res asset is opened. So as long as I have this turned on any asset that comes in, I can actually, I'm not actually fetching high resolution blocks from LucidLink. I'm actually fetching low resolution blocks. So this stuff is instantaneous. But as far as Premiere is concerned, I am still working with the high res. And here you can see, here's the burger bite that happened a little bit earlier from Richie. And you can also see that there's a marker. So Richie Big Bite, if I actually go make this a little, or pull out my markers, let's say, where are markers? So we can see on any given asset we've got highlighted that there are markers that came in. So Serious Gaze, all of my producers started tagging all of this stuff for me. And I've got time-based markers on all of my different clips now that came in from Iconic into my Premiere project. And I'm directly referencing those high reses and the edit proxies all kind of in one in the world of Premiere. So let's go in and make some decisions here, right? So let's slide this over a little bit so we know where we are. So we're going to do some sunglass shots here. So let's find our sunglass shot. Okay, cool. And it looks like this is a good point. Richie marked that one. So I'm going to mark in there. And then I'm going to do a clip replace with clip from the source monitor. Oh, it's a little bit small. So let's make that a little bigger. Hop over into our effects view. Come on, Premiere. Come on, Premiere. There you go. And bump my scale up. Bump it up to 40 there. And let's do the same thing for a couple of the other clips that we got here. Let's go back in here and we're going to find that's some sunglasses. That's me. We don't want to use me again. Okay, here's some sandals getting put on. And there's a marker right here that says that's where the sandals go in. So I'll grab that, select this one, and do a replace with clip. And then we got one more here. So we'll take a look. Let's find, let's see, is sunglasses again. Here we go, beach towel action. So we'll mark it in and we will have Richie do his beach towel. So replace, boom. Now we've got our first little round of edits. Okay, those are a little small again. Let's hop into our effects and bump them up so that they're appropriate size. That's just because my my graphics team is working in full 4K with rasters, and I'm working in 1080 for the most part from what we shot. So voila, we've got our first little edit done. Let's go slide over the other one, replace those. Same method as before. Let's find some shots of some burger eating. So Lance marked this for me already. I'm going to go and replace with clip from source monitor. Grab the next one here. Oh, let's make that the right size too. And 40. Cool. Grab our next one. Let's find somebody else eating a burger. No, that's sunglasses. That's towel. Here's burger. Okay, do we want the front shot or do we want the side shot? We're going to go side shot. Profile here. In there. And replace from source. And then last but not least, let's find Tom munching on a burger. I'm sure it's in here somewhere. Pretty sure I added it. If I didn't, we'll just add Richie eating a second burger because Richie loves burgers, right? So go there and replace from source. All right, cool. So now we've got our, we got to do our scaling again. Here, 40 and oops, that's not a 4. That's a 4. Okay. So cool, we've put together a little edit. Now what I'm going to do is I actually don't know if this is good enough for release. I want to make sure that everything's happy and that my God producer, who is Scott, actually says that this is good before we actually master it out. So what I'm going to actually do is just go into my Iconic panel and I'm going to upload this to Iconic. And I'm going to revision my project here so that I have a kind of gold master of the project file itself. So if he comes back and tells me to edit anything, I can. And then the other thing I'm going to do is say, I'm going to upload the sequence to Iconic. And I'm just going to use a low-res version in this case because I'm just doing review and approve. So I don't need to send an entire big ProRes video right now. I'm just going to send a matched raster H.264. And this list that's popping up in the Iconic panel is just your presets in Adobe Media Encoder. So you can see all my high-res stuff is there as well. Not a problem, you know, and I hit go. What this is going to do is automatically trigger the send over to Adobe Media Encoder. So my hands are, oh, I hit my microphone pretty loud there. Hands off keyboard. It's just going to do its thing, open the project, send it over, start rendering it, and then start uploading it, which will go pretty quick in this place. And while we're waiting for, you know, rendering to happen, because this is part of life, we're never getting away from this one, we can start to show off or answer a few questions that we got here. So
Mike, we got one. Is this workflow available for After Effects?
So the proxy workflow does, an edit proxy workflow does not work in After Effects, but we do have a full panel in After Effects. And if you are using LucidLink, yes, this works exactly the same. There's just no edit proxy registration in the After Effects SDK for us to do. So you get 90% of it with LucidLink similarly, and you can master out renders right back to the LucidLink volume or upload directly to cloud storage right out of the panel as well from After Effects. We also support Photoshop, Illustrator, and Audition in addition to Premiere and After Effects.
All right, I have another one for a Premiere project with multiple original assets. Can Iconic Premiere panel gather all the media associated with that project as a batch and link them to the local proxy files?
Yeah, so I'll hop back out to Iconic here, and we'll actually take a look at our project file that I just revisioned a few seconds ago. So here's my Burger Island promo project. And what we actually have inside of Iconic is when we check in a project, and hopefully this is not locking up too much because Media Encoder's eating some CPU here, we can see all of the clips that were actually used inside that project because we actually use the Adobe Premiere SDK to keep track of all that in Iconic. That also is tracked inside the project file itself. So you can see inside of the Iconic panel, we're aware of where all that stuff is and what the status of it is. Does it have an edit proxy or is it a proxy? And then we have options here to say, hey, I want to get proxies for all originals. So a workflow that's pretty common is maybe you started working with localized files that are still cached on your LucidLink volume on your laptop, but haven't fully been uploaded yet. And somebody across the country wants to start working on that project because they want to do a second tier edit or something along those lines. That's no problem. You can send them the project file immediately. They can get the proxies for all the originals, work on just the proxies, check the project file back into you, and then you can conform later at that point. And to be fair, this works with literally any storage. So it's not just the LucidLink volume in that particular workflow.
All right, Scott, Richie, I got a question for you. Is LucidLink caching this data to a local? So is there a limit to that cache or a method of configuring that for external drives for larger projects?
So it's not, it is using cache, but we want to make sure that we're being clear here that we're actually editing this directly from the cloud. So it's not that we have to bring the files down to a cache in order to edit and then send them back up. We're actually streaming the technology and editing it in real time using local cache, certainly to buffer that and make it so that you can use it again very fast from the local cache, but we're actually streaming this in real time from the cloud.
Yeah, the blocks that are being asked for are getting there's edge node cache, and within LucidLink you can set that to be what, up to 2 terabytes, 3 terabytes, something like that. So
it's up to 10 terabytes now.
10 terabytes now. So you set the cache on the client level, and you can set that depending on the client type and what kind of data they're going to be working with. And then that defines if you're going to have shoe shining with data to the cloud or not. So, hey, if you have a local Pegasus drive attached to a big edit system and your average project size is 3 and 4 terabytes, sure, you could make a 10 terabyte cache pointed at that local, and it's going to feel like those files are local because you're never going to have to get the block a second time unless cache is flushed.
All right. You want to get back to the demo, or we can
Yep.
address a couple more questions? Okay.
Yeah, we can start the next kind of process of the demo. Our export is complete, and you'll notice now in my Premiere panel that it says, hey, this sequence is in Iconic now. So it's aware that there is a actual asset, a flattened mastered asset that's gone out to Iconic and lives there. And right within the panel, I can say, hey, I want to view that associated asset. Cool, here it is. I can view it and see that that's out there and see all the cuts and see the great little, us eating food that we added. And what I want to do now is start an approval process. So right within Premiere, I can say request approval, and then I can actually send this to Scott, who's not a member of my Iconic domain. He's an external producer. He's the client. He's whatever. And I'm going to say, hey, Scott, here is the edit. Is it good for you? ? And I'm going to give him 24 hours to look at that so that, he doesn't have to access for too long. I'm not even going to let him download this. He's just going to be able to view it, but I will allow him to make comments, and I'm going to put a password on this. Just so that he, if this link for some reason got out, no one would actually be able to access it without being, having that password as well. And I'm going to hit send, and that's going to send an email to Scott so that he has access to see this, make markers on it if he wants to, and set the approval status. So what I'm going to do is stop sharing, and we can toss it over to Scott, and he can kind of take part in that process.
Great, thanks. So you can see that I have the email right here. It just came. I can click on the link there, and it takes me to where I need to enter the password. And there's the link. So I can just go up here and I can set the approval to approve. And now it's good to go.
I'll hop back into my world now. So come back and share. And you can see I didn't click anything. I've already got that approval inside of Iconic. So in my panel inside of Premiere, I know that's good. All right, cool. It's time to actually master this out at full res. So I'm going to highlight the sequence, hit Command M like you guys are so used to. And this time I'm going to make it a ProRes HQ. And I'm going to throw that into my LucidLink volume. I've got inside this Burger Island promo, there's a masters folder. And I'm going to call this Tropical Sea Master. Hit save. And I'm going to export that. And now it's going to render a full res ProRes HQ directly to my LucidLink volume. And you'll notice that this is going a little faster because it's doing ProRes as opposed to H.264, less encoding speed needed to do that sort of thing. And if I hop back over to my Finder and take a look, just so you guys can see this for real, inside that folder and masters, there's the file. Now you'll notice the file's actually growing, but if I, at this point, go give access or screen share to anybody else, they can actually start viewing this movie even while the upload's in flight. They won't be able to scrub to the end of it because it hasn't actually been fully uploaded yet, but we've got a good chunk of this video actually available. And as soon as the header's closed, it's going to start. Well, the blocks are already being written up to the LucidLink cloud storage, and that's already being distributed to everyone else. And what's going to happen, and actually this is getting a little nerdy, but my storage gateway has already picked up the fact that that exists. So this is the log file and the log running of my storage gateway that is running in the cloud. And it's telling me, hey, I found a new file, and I'm going to hang out and wait for that file to finish growing. And then I'm going to update it and check it into Iconic and the whole deal. So the ingest workflow for this was literally dump it in a folder inside a LucidLink where Iconic is watching. And Iconic's going to pick it up and make it accessible to everyone everywhere in the world at that point that would have access to it or that could be shared to. I don't know, maybe I can share, or I'll stop my share here and toss it back to Richie or Tom, or yeah, you guys have the LucidLink volume mounted. You guys can go ahead and show that that file is starting to show up there already. So there we go.
Yeah,
Tropical
here's the same directory structure based off of that LucidLink mount point. I just follow the same, and it's inside the master's file. And this happens to be a QuickTime MOV. So certain codecs are more friendly to being open while they're written, and certain codecs and wrappers. In this particular one, I can go ahead and access it, but I may or may not be able to play it relative to the codec and wrapper requirements. So it opens.
Yeah, I should have done an MXF
Well,
because that would have let you actually do it in real time.
But as far as the application is concerned, it's there. I can do media info as an example. And if this was a sync and share, in order to gain access to even to media info, it would have to pull the entire file down. Obviously, it's still writing. So you can see it's still growing as far as my system is concerned. So immediate access to files and immediate access to the files, because the metadata controller has already sent all the information and the blocks are being delivered as the content's being written.
Great. So I think with that, we have a lot of questions in the Q&A segment. So we'll go through the Q&A a little bit here, and
Sounds great. I'll try to help shepherd that. Which cloud storage creates proxies without egress is a question, probably for you, Mike.
So right now, to my knowledge, there's only a few that have a true zero egress. I believe Wasabi is one of those. Crowd storage is another one. I can't think of anybody else that off the top of my head. That said, zero egress is dependent upon where your recipient is as well. So if you have S3 storage in US Central 2 and your computer that is reading the data is also in that location, you're paying zero egress. If you have it in Google West, and your compute is in Google West, you pay zero egress in region to machines there. So as far as the Iconic storage gateway is concerned, it's free to read and write all of that data. When you get into actual edge node caching for the LucidLink side of things, then you do want to think about that, because you're going to be directly streaming that data outside of cloud resources. But it is important to remember with the LucidLink side too, is you're going to be a lot more efficient with that data, because the block gets cached and you're never going to have to fetch that block twice unless you outrun your cache size on your local machine. So you can scrub back and forth a million times on that data. You're not egressing that same block a million times.
All right, can assets be grouped using metadata? I think you actually showed that during the demo with your collection, right?
Yeah, so you can very quickly within Iconic, tag things, batch tag things. So I used burger as a tag, but I can also apply more tags if I want to these. So I can just select all these items that we were working with either earlier, say update metadata. And now I can say, you know what, I'm going to make the language English, and I'm going to make the rating 4 stars. And the category is going to be webinar, and keywords are going to be CHESA and LucidLink and Iconic, right? And release date of, today. Cool. Hit go. And now I've basically made all of those items searchable by all of that metadata. And if I wanted to make that a quick click, I could set up any search and any filter I wanted and make it a saved search to bring that information back.
All right, Richie, Scott, I got a question. Does LucidLink have issues with Big Sur and the M1 Max?
I can say Big Sur no, because I'm running Big Sur and just did this whole demo, but I don't know about I can't answer the M1 for you.
Richie, you want to cover off the M1 question?
There are a couple of K-text things that we have to do as it relates to Mac Fuse, which is a requirement underpinning LucidLink, but it is compatible. There's a couple of little caveats that we have covered in our FAQ as a part of our LucidLink support component, but it is supported and does work.
And I got another one for you guys. How does LucidLink behave when Premiere needs to generate peak files and audio waveforms? Does it need to stream the entire file after it's imported to finish those processes?
That's a great question. The best practice is to disable automatic waveform generation. Our friends at Adobe have helped make that a recommendation as far as working in this workflow. The waveforms are created as it's played, but if you, as the question reads, if you don't disable that preference, it will read the entire file, and that kind of undoes the only deliver the blocks you need, because it's asking for all the blocks in order to build that waveform.
All right, Mike, DaVinci Resolve, any applicability for Iconic in that application space?
So currently we don't have any native panel support for Resolve. We've seen a lot of customers pipeline through Premiere because you can export Premiere XML into Resolve. So if you want to do your finishing there. That said, we are looking at towards the end of this year, early next year, actually building a panel for Resolve as well. We've been in contact with a few of the folks deep in the bowels of Blackmagic, have started that discussion, have gotten the proper SDKs and things along those lines. So, and there, I guess it's worth showing one other little kind of feature of Iconic as well. So in this case, here's our master ProRes file that we just bounced out. It's 1.8 gig. Even if you don't have an application panel for Iconic, I can just click this little button, and all that's going to do is take me right to that file in the Finder, and then I can drag it onto any application I want to start manipulating it. So if you're using Iconic to search for things and work with things, it's pretty quick and easy to still find that and use it in applications we don't have native panels for.
All right, another one for you, Mike. How do you handle closed captioning?
So we actually have a full transcription engine, and what I'm gonna do is this will be a little fun for you guys too. I'm going to actually share it with you so you guys can see some of the output of that. So I'm gonna go create a share. Let me share my screen so you can see this actually happening in real time. Where'd my Zoom go? And sure. Boom. So I actually ran a transcription against our ProRes master file here, and I got the output. And so like I can go in and change things here. So maybe I want this to be 2 instead of in a period. So I want it to look a little bit different inside of my view, but every single word is timed. So based on where it is, I can click right on it and take me to it. And this is obviously a 30-second spot, so not horribly interesting to share, but I'm going to generate a quick shareable link for everybody, and you guys aren't going to be able to do anything but view the transcriptions and view the video. Hit finish, and this is our master that we just bounced out, by the way, guys. This is what we did as part of this entire demo. So where's my
Yeah, we should play out that, if you want, play out that rendered full resolution file from.
Yeah, here it is. Well, somebody else anywhere else, like Tom, can steal the screen and share it, or take a look at it if you want. And
yeah, if you guys want, we can do that.
Let me throw this into the chat too. So the link that I just pasted into the chat is an Iconic link to that. You'll be able to see the transcription, and you'll be able to play our final rendered ProRes movie as well. And I'll stop sharing so Tom can actually show you. Him in LA already has access to that master file and can play it in QuickTime Player or whatever he wants.
Yeah, let's we'll just share my desktop here, and I think I can, as you can see, it's right here within LucidLink, fully rendered out. And actually, I don't think you can see that because hold on, it went full screen. So let me share it.
It went on the wrong monitor.
It went on our monitor, which now you should see that, right?
Yep.
I think.
Extended time indoors. It's been the norm for a while, but Burger Island is calling you out. So grab your gear and step into the sun, because we've got something fiery and fresh packed into this hand-sized oasis of yum. And during the whole month of June, this tasty little vacay is only going to be $2.99. So pick one up for a friend while you're at it. Only at Burger Island.
So that's
Congratulations. Well done.
Nice.
all done on LucidLink. I mean, that's pretty bonkers.
Yeah, I like that. We started with LucidLink on ingest, and we ended with LucidLink on the distribution point. So it was nice to come full circle with that. We have 5 more minutes. I'm scanning through the questions here. There's something with audio tracks, mic on. Where was that at?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think I know what
alpha
the
channels in your proxies.
So we do not have alpha channels in the proxies currently. That's because they're H.264 and H.264 and HTML5 video doesn't support alpha channeling in it. So the web viewer would break if we started doing that. That said, we are actively working on kind of a new functionality inside of Iconic, which is the ability to also generate your own edit proxies, which are different from the web proxies, which is what you see when you click on the web UI and that sort of thing. Those can have one-to-one channel mappings, and then we will support codecs at that point that do have alpha channel support, so that when you use those edit proxies, as opposed to web proxies in proxy-based workflows, you'll have full one-to-one audio channel mapping and alpha channel mapping as well. So, and that's our target for that. Our goal is, probably early July, so not too far around the corner.
Those transcription results that you just showed there, are those searchable inside Iconic?
Yep. So let me pop back into a screen share so you guys can see this a little bit better, because we kind of skipped over this. But inside of Iconic, this is a 26-minute long interview. I can actually click on any given word and hop right to it, but I can also search for specific words. And you'll notice that inside the transcript, those are highlighted. So I can quickly hop to the points where I need to get to. Now I can also search inside transcription text across the entire system. So in this case, I can say, hey, find me every time somebody said the word AI, and all of the clips came back. Or, hey, so show me all the times somebody said Halo, which that clip we were just looking at, but maybe we want to find all the times they said Halo, but not Fortnite. And we're going to get, different results back at that point. So you can search everything from the transcription that you get back. And you can also use that transcription to drive your captioning. So I can go into segment edit mode. So if I want to change any of this, it's going to maintain relative word timing. So I can hop in here and fix that little period mistake earlier. And then it picked up down, where was it? Save that. This tasty little vacation. Yeah, it's not awake cysts of yum. That's kind of gross. It's oasis of yum. Hit save. Now that I've actually fixed the transcription, I can go in and download it as an SRT file. And that SRT file now is available to be used in whichever way you want. And that is the SRT file that you can use to sidecar along with distribution. And it's based on whatever you have in here at the time you click it. So it's dynamically generated. So you can revision those as well over time if you find other errors and that sort of thing.
Excellent. I think we've got time for one more question. Before I forget, though, this is being recorded, and we will provide somehow some availability to view this at a later time. So that was one of the questions that somebody asked as well. See here. Can you combine and preview multiple assets at the same time? For instance, original video with separate component audio.
So that's our player right now cannot do separated audio. That is a project for us later in the year. Our target on the roadmap for discrete audio is Q1 of next year, which requires a completely different player because we can't use HTML5 to do discrete audio with mappings. We can use an HLS or a Dash player. So we have to fix the way we can handle the edit proxy stuff first before we can roll that out, because it would break a lot of things if we didn't do that in order. So the next release is going to have some of that functionality. And then in the future, we will be able to do discrete audio monitoring. But currently right now, no.
All right, fantastic. Well, I think we can wrap it up. I just want to thank everybody for joining. This was a fantastic webinar, in my opinion. Just doing a live demo just makes it a lot more refreshing than just standard block and tackle PowerPoint death. So thank you, panelists, for joining me for this webinar, and we look forward to seeing everyone again. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to any of us. You should have our contact information on LinkedIn, touch points, but we look forward to talking to you guys all in the future. Thank you, everybody.